I'll be on my best behavior.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Moving Mountains for You. This is your host, Isla Celadon. I go by Sachi Ice Queen on a lot of social media. I am a realtor, I got my pin on, and a publisher and a podcaster. And today, we've already had her on the Spanglish podcast, which is amazing. And so I definitely wanted to record a little bit of her and her story and just who she is, for my English speakers to listen to her amazing voice and her amazing life and just a little bit about her. And today we're going to be talking about love and intentions, and our list is it's Valentine's Day. So happy Valentine's Day to everyone. In Spanish, it's Feliz Día de
El
Amor.
amor y la amistad.
Yeah,
There
because
you go.
it's Valentine's is not just in our culture. Valentine's is not just for your couple; it's for your friends too. And
Mhm.
so I don't know if the English speakers do that or not, but I mean, I gave my friends some flowers or and so definitely wanted to share that little tidbit of our culture. So her name is Maria Rodriguez, and we met at a business conference, and she's just amazing. And so she is in San Antonio, Texas, or
No,
actually she's in
Dallas.
Dallas now. She moved.
Dallas. I
So,
relocated.
but yeah, she relocated to Dallas, y'all. So that's closer to me. You're only five hours away
That's
from
what
me.
I'm saying. Oh
I
my
know,
God. I was like, you're in
yeah.
Arkansas? Bree, where are you at, Bree?
Oh, she's muted.
I'm in Phoenix.
Phoenix. Okay,
I'm
so
in
yeah, we
Phoenix.
also we also
Don't be making that face, Maria. That's why I was trying to see you when I was in Dallas for 2.5 seconds. I was like,
Hey, we all got like major cities. I got Dallas. Islet's got
so it's
Ar-
yeah, it's 20 minutes from the capital, Little Rock. So
there
Little
you
Rock
go.
is the capital. So
Then we
uh
got Bree in Phoenix, Arizona. Okay.
yeah.
Then we
So
got Amanda in San Antonio, Texas. Got
so
all the major cities.
So yeah, just definitely wanted to have this amazing little recording for you guys to just kind of hear a little bit of the about love and about love languages. I wanted to, can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, so I wanted to talk about the 5 languages of love. And I wanted to just kind of go, and tell you guys a little bit about the 5 languages that most people wouldn't know. I know in the Latino culture, this did not exist. Like,
No.
so, but for anybody that hasn't read this book, it's an amazing book. So there's 5 languages of love. Physical touch is one of them. And so a lot of the times people who, and I will say this, your 5 languages of love kind of develop and change with your relationship and with your life. And so if you see one that resonates with you the most, it's in that moment in your life right now, that's what's resonating with you. And so physical touch and these are the things that would damage your relationship if you don't do these things for someone who that's their love language. And so, I am a big physical touch person. I love hugging, I think it's the Latina in me, like, así lo saludamos, we kiss on the cheek or, we hug. So that's one of my love languages. The second one is words of affirmation. So I, used to be a spiritual life coach, an ordained minister now. And so, words of affirmation is very, very important. Your words have power. And so I think these are the 2 that are the most important to me. And so here is a list of things that if you do these things, they are not going to feel loved. Even if you tell them you love them, even if you really do, if you do these things down here, then they're not going to feel loved. So the third one is acts of service. And so acts of service for me it used to be one of my love languages. Now it's not, but I will tell you this, acts of service is definitely one of my sons because he knows how to make his own food, but he wants me to make it for him. Why? Because I'm his mom. And so he wants me to. And things like that, or if you want to give your spouse or your relation, your significant other, some kind of massage or those are types of things that I used to do for my ex-husband, and he was very much an acts of service. That was so. The fourth one is quality time. My mom, this is her love language. I think it's because she just recently retired. So, these are the things that you don't want to do if this is how they receive love. Is, be on your phone, not be distracted, not give them the attention that they deserve and they need. And then the last one is gifts. So if you're a mom or a dad, definitely most kids, this is one of their top languages, like, because kids love gifts,
Yeah.
So don't forget holidays, don't forget birthdays, don't forget, so these are just kind of 5 little love languages that how you can, teach the people around you how. And I will say this, verbalize your love language to the people around you, because if you don't, they're not going to be aware that you're not feeling loved. And, this is something that I didn't know in my past relationship. I did in the very end of it, but by that time, it didn't really matter. So, I didn't feel that it was being heard anyways. So, we talked about, how to have a list and how to, manifest the man of your dreams. Well, I've been with my current current boyfriend for about 10 months. He's the first serious relationship that I've had since I got divorced. And I had a very specific list, like extremely specific list. And he is the only man that had every single quality. And I actually made it so specific because I didn't want to get married anymore. It was a very traumatic experience that I wanted to be alone. I really did. Yeah. And I wanted to focus on me, focus on my career, and I didn't want anybody. And so I prayed to God and I was like, if it's your will for me to be alone, then let me be alone. If it's not, then they need to have not standards, requirements, ladies, requirements. Yeah. Like these were the things that were on my list. They were
non-negotiables, I would say.
Oh yeah, that's for sure. So, that's just a little bit about my experience, and, definitely want to hear, Maria and Bree's way of manifesting their man of their dreams. So go ahead.
I was very skeptical when I first heard about the list. This was like back in 2020. I did not, hold on, let me put my camera to record. This will be some good content.
I can send you the recording.
Okay. I did not believe, I heard this first theory, hey, manifest the man of your dreams by writing a list. And I was listening on Clubhouse and I was like, what are you talking about? And they're like, yeah, just, write the list. And I remember I had a yellow pen pad. And these, these pen pads were real, huge. So it was legal pad, actually. It was huge. I was like, okay, he has to be tall, above 6 feet, and he has to have all his teeth, and he has to have nice little toes. And yes, because I was traumatized. I was not, and I'm just very weird like that. I don't like no man just putting his nasty crusty feet in my sheets. I have bamboo sheets, and so when it rubs like sandpaper, I was like, I can't do that. It just so I was very specific. I mean, at the time I had already been single for 10 years because I was a dancer, and then I was I was raising kids, and I was just single. And I remember I was like, okay, well, I really want someone in my life, so I'm going to be very specific about who it is. And so I wrote down everything. I was like, I want him to have muscles, and I want him to look exotic, and I want him to look like he has a tan 24/7. And I was just looking for someone very specific, and I found him. He manifested. We met. It happened, and then 3 months into the relationship, it just went plummeted down. Because that's one thing I learned, that I have to mention the intention. So when I ask God for a man, God's gonna send it to you, right? He's gonna be there. But then you gotta mention hey, can you please make him a little bit more emotionally intelligent this time? And so those things, and I think that it's not a fun journey, writing a list and then, forgetting to add these things. So it is very, I would say, you do attract what you are. So for me at the time, I was still thinking like a stripper. I was still thinking like a woman that wanted to go out and drink and have fun. So I was not thinking of marriage minded. I was just thinking about having fun with a big tall guy. And that's all I was. Like that's all it was. Like honestly, like this relationship just it crumbled in my face and it blew up basically. Like turned to a dumpster fire. And I realized that I was attracting people that I was shedding my old skin of. I was attracting the person that I was back then. But then when I started self-developing, that's when I think our energy didn't match. And so I was vibrating at a different level and he was vibrating at something else. And so that's when we just kind of like separated. And the stubborn me was like, let's keep this together because you're so perfect in my list. And but then God was like, bro, this is not it. Like you're changing into someone else. Like let go of that identity and let go of that man. And so it had to blow up in my face for me to be like, okay, fine. And I did the ugly cry. It took me a while to heal from it. I mean, I would time myself on the crying. I was like 45 minutes, okay? And I just at the time I was also going through a period where I was not drinking as I used to because I really wanted to face my emotions, right? I was like, I want to see what this is like because usually when I was a dancer, someone would break my heart. I would go back to the strip club, I would dance, I would make some money, shake my butt, and then I was like, okay, I'm fine. But I wasn't really. I was just like hungover and numb. So when I had to process those emotions and not go shake my ass for money and not be drunk, I was like, oh my God, like this is what it feels like. And I remember like going, like I had a big following on Instagram and I would just go on there and talk to my followers, and they knew I was going through the breakup. And I remember them like seeing me on the live and I was like, I can't help. And I was like, I can't help. And I would cancel the fucking live because I was so heartbroken. I was just so heartbroken because I really thought he was the one because I manifested him, right? But wasn't the person. So I remember kind of like weaning off those. And I remember mentioning it to my followers once I got out and I got out on the other side of the tunnel, thank God. I was like, this breakup was like giving birth without an epidural. It was just like that because I had to process every emotion I felt. And there was no mercy on my soul because I was like, I'm not going to go to drugs. I'm not going to go to alcohol. I'm not going to go jumping on another man. I'm going to process this breakup. And it hurt. Like, it took me like 6 months. I kid you not. And it made me think like how many relationships did I jump from man to man 1 month later? Like I was unpacking all that stuff and like now I'm like, okay, let's be very specific because last time we asked for something, God sent us the whole package. He sent us a whole palette. So now we just gotta ask very specific. And I guess that's where the list came into mind. And I found that list in my junk drawer the other day and I was like, oh my God, let's burn that. I was like, I don't want to be. Let's not attract that entity anymore. Let's move on with gratefulness. So that was the first time I heard about the list, and as I told women about it, they're like, "Yeah, I've actually had a list too." It was a very long one. I think it gets longer as your relationships start evolving.
That's for sure because my first list was I asked for three things and my ex had all three of those things, but did I go back to God and confirm if this was him? No, I didn't. I just settled. And in reality, a lot of men have the same three qualities. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I didn't go back to God to say, is this him? And when you get married or when you go, you introduce your significant other to your family. So why would you not introduce the person you're going to spend the rest of your life with and make sure that it's okay with the person that you believe in? And
Mm-hmm.
so to me, I would analyze the whole relationship and, we were separated the last 2 years of our marriage. And it was because I felt the need to separate from him because sometimes when you're in something, you don't see the outside. And so I
Yeah.
felt like I needed that break, that physical separation to be able to really see God more clearly and who I needed to be and what he had for me and for us. And he's an amazing co-parent. I will say that, I appreciate him so much. We started as friends. We're still like, I still am very, very attached to him when it comes to our friendship, but do I see him as my husband? When we were separated, like literally that was the last thing that I asked God. I was like, okay, if he is not my husband, take these feelings away, break that, bond or whatever they want to call it, soul tie. And God did it. And so I was like, we were still married. And the next time that I saw him, he felt like my son's father. He didn't feel like my husband anymore. And so that's when I was like, got it, check. Literally the next, so then like I think 2 months after that is when I filed. And so I literally asked every single confirmation he did it. And so I really, because I was raised by, I am a child of divorce, I didn't want my son to feel what I felt. And so that really held me captive. Also, not only that Bible verse that you mentioned, love is kind, love is gentle, love is, endure, like it endures all. And love, that Bible verse is what like helped me in a way that I felt like I was giving up not only on him, but giving up on God.
Amen, sister.
And so, but at the end of the day, it's not that I was giving up on him or God, it's that I was giving up on myself and what I deserved and what I needed.
Yeah.
And so I think once I kind of shifted my mindset in that, and I went through a lot of personal development in those 2 years that I was separated. I got my, life spiritual life coach certification. I got I'm a realtor. And then I also got a therapeutic art coach. So I was working on myself at the same time as I was getting these 3 things that helped me not only level up in my career, but also change my mindset and my heart and how I could best serve the clients that I already have. Because I've been in business for about 5 years, translating and interpreting. So now that I'm an ordained minister, I can like really, really focus on my clients and give them exactly what they need with all of the right intentions, with everything. Like I feel super complete myself.
I feel like you worked on yourself after this divorce.
Yeah, because I think in any divorce, in any separation, you kind of have to re-find yourself.
Yeah.
So
Well, I want to hear from Bree. I want to hear what Bree has to say with all this.
for sure,
I know she's had a great relationship, but she also has some breakthroughs. And Bree, what do you want to tell them the wonderful time we met, on Clubhouse, how we just became instant best friends and we just kind of did like this pact to never separate.
yeah. So okay, I don't know Bree, but I met her here. So definitely reintroduce yourself and kind of share who you are to our audience and to our students, because not Learningidiom is a nonprofit we teach virtually. And so definitely reintroduce yourself to everyone who's listening.
So, hello everybody. My name is Brianne Ellison, or AKA Lipstick Preacher, and I am a recovering love addict. And so that is how Maria met me, was because I had a room and I actually talked about what it looked like to be a love addict. It is not a sex addict. It is not anything in realm of that. It's somebody who's in love with love and would by any means necessary go and seek that thing at the detriment of themselves. And so basically God saved me out of this. I'm going to call it hell, because when you are searching for something and you can't find it, you are absolutely tormented and you are absolutely feeling like your lowest point and the lowest part of being a human being. If you can't attain love, then what good is anything, right? And that's just really where my head was at until God showed me, his love for me, which allowed me to love myself and then change the trajectory of what it is that I welcomed into my life. And I think both of you beautiful ladies stated so wonderfully. So I'm a little bit different. I did not have a list. So manifesting a list, I cannot give a tip to. One of the things that each one of you said, your healing process and growing into who you truly were. And to me, that's manifestation, because you attract what you resent. And so while I didn't have a list, what I did was I worked and I healed me, which allowed me to have somebody that is reflective to who I am, which makes him great, right? Because I value myself and I think that when you value yourself, you stop getting the same person in a different wrapper. You get a totally different
Yes.
person, right?
Yes.
And so I used to say, I'm attracting these emotionally unavailable men. Well, I didn't realize I was emotionally unavailable, right? I used to put the pacify and put the blame on them when I didn't realize I was the one that was emotionally unavailable, because I was pining after somebody that I had no business pining after, that I didn't let go, which means that no man had an opportunity with me, because I still was in my mind in a totally another relationship, right? And
Mhm.
so it's when God helped me just strip away all of these different layers and I unfolded, that I was able to find my true self, which I believe God brought me my person, and I think the fantasies that we create, the things that we create, all of that stuff has to be dissipated and go away in order to really be present and understand who it is and what it is that we need, not want, need. My man is everything that I am not. He is what I need. He is a man of integrity. He is not just with me, but just with people in general. He loves God. He is faithful to me, not because he just loves me, but he loves God, which means that he loves me, which makes it a safe space, right?
Mm.
And so I would say that if we call me healing myself is how I manifested my man, then I would say that that's how I manifested my man, is that I got rid of the layers, and with him there was even more layers that had to go, by the wayside, that you don't know are there until you're in a relationship, right? So you can heal the parts of yourself that you can do by yourself, and then once you get into a relationship that is healthy, there's other things that fall off of you too, that have to go in
Yeah.
order for
Like
you
your
to
walls.
maintain. Yeah, in order for you to maintain wholeness, which is why I said, we want to put our track shoes on sometimes and run. And that's normal coping behavior, right? We built those defense mechanisms in order to keep us safe. But if this person is who God called us to be, we have to bring those walls down in order to feel safe, and what it looks like to be safe in a healthy relationship.
Yeah.
I don't
And
know
I
if
would
I
add to
answered all
that,
the questions.
being vulnerable, like once you're in the relationship, like having that space of stepping into your feminine energy. And I think this is another thing that we can add to the list, my list, myself. I'm talking to Maria. We can add to that list, Maria. We can add, having a partner that allows you to step into your feminine energy so you can be vulnerable and fragile. Because sometimes we come into these relationships like, I'm a strong bitch, I don't need nobody, but I want you by my side. And, you're here, you're indispensable, I can get rid of you. But it's like, let's take a moment. It's like wanting money, but also saying, I hate people with money. Like, you need to pick a side, and you need to, like, Brianna reminded me one time, like, don't come into the next relationship being a strong woman. Come in fragile, come in broken, come in with no walls, so that the person can see you for who you really are and they can accept you. Because even like coming off as a strong woman, like that can really like bring an image of like, okay, this is who she is. She doesn't need me. I'm just here for the fun. When in reality, you're kind of like lying to them. Like, I really do want to be vulnerable. So when you show that vulnerable side, they're like, this is not what I signed up for. So that's when things can get like mixed up. So yeah.
That's definitely true, because my fiance, I guess you can say, he's asked me multiple times, but
Today's the day to say yes.
uh well, I mean, we've known each other for 10 months. I feel like I've known him for like 10
Well,
years.
if he does propose, please do catch it on video because I want to see this.
No, okay, so I told Maria, I wrote him so I'm a poet, so if you saw me snapping, yeah, it's because I agree, but I don't clap, I snap because I'm a poet. And so I've written so much poetry about him, but I haven't written a song. And so, because I don't play any instruments, the only one that I know how to play is like, it took 3 months of like, piano or whatever. But I composed a song for him because it's going to be released and it's going to be the one that I'm going to walk, when we get married. And so I'm working on it, and I sent him the rough draft today, and which I don't know about anybody, you know, all of everyone's relationships, but we sing to each other a lot.
Aw.
Because we've had a lot of like long distance, the majority of our relationship has been long distance, you know. We met on a Christian dating app.
Oh,
He lived literally an hour and a half away, but worked 3 hours away because he would drive an hour and a half to work, and it was in the opposite direction of where I was. So I'll never forget the first time. It sounds so like a Christian typical like meetup. Our first date was Chick-fil-A.
my
uh,
pleasure.
so yeah, Christian dating app, Chick-fil-A, yeah. So but it
I'm
was fun.
guessing it wasn't on a Sunday, huh?
No, it wasn't on Sunday. But he drove 3 hours to see me. So I was like, whoa, this guy seems pretty committed if he's gonna drive 3 hours just to meet me. I would like, and so I'm like, okay, you know. So I met him, and you know, I always tell the people who I talk about with him, I never really knew what it was like to fall in love. I always grew to love my ex because we were friends for a whole year, and our instant like attraction or whatever wasn't um in Spanish or in Greek you would call it amor fileo, you know,
Mm,
or amor erotico. Um,
mm.
it wasn't, you know, I like he was we I just wanted to be friends in the beginning. And let me tell you, when I first met this guy, I was like, no, I don't want you just as a friend. And so I'm like, I was like, this is weird. I've never experienced this before. And
But
so,
I'll stop you right there. That is key because a lot of times as women, I'll speak for myself. It's hard to get attracted to a man like instantly. Like, ooh, like, ooh. It's hard to get that. Like, we got social media, we got things at the snap of our fingers. So when we see people, we're like, like swipe left, swipe right. But it's like once you see someone and you connect, because once it's like, oh, we're not visuals, we're more like emotional beings. So when we see one and we talk to them and we like them, it's very to me, it's very rare. I'm like, I nobody just turns my head. I'm like, ooh, you delicious piece of meat. Like, I don't think
well,
that
I mean,
way.
like to me, whenever I think what I felt the most was I felt this like deep sense of security. And I had such a traumatic, you know, last 4 years of my marriage that I didn't feel safe, emotionally safe. And so he was the first person that I talked to him so much. He was super respectful. He didn't say certain things. He didn't ask me for any pictures, you know, like
Yeah.
he just was very, very protective of myself, but also of himself, one, and just very, very like conservative of what we wanted to how he was. And so he was just different in that aspect. But whenever I met him in person, I could feel his not only compassionate heart, but very, very protective heart, if that makes sense. Um, and so he was a fireman for 10 years, and so and a paramedic for like 2 or 3 years, and right now he's a mechanic. But like there his level of just emotional intelligence, because he's had to serve for the community for so long, was something that I don't know, I just was very, very attracted to. Like I was like, man,
Oh.
this is the and so like I said, you know, I had that list, and I had every single thing that I had on my list. I didn't have on the list that they needed to have autism or needed to know anything about, you know, autism, but that is a super, super plus for me because with my ex, I mean, I'm first generation born citizen, and my ex he's from Honduras. Like he wasn't born here. And so I always had to explain therapy and occupational therapy and like the differences because
Yeah.
in back, you know, over there they don't understand, like, or respite
Yeah.
care, like all these terms that first of all he didn't know, like English wasn't his first language. But I also on top of that had to teach him the special needs types of, you know, language that you need
There's a
to
lot
know.
of barriers.
And so to me, this guy, because he had it himself, like I don't have to like it's so easy because he
Yes.
understands, because he went through it. He's not medicated anymore, but like he understands, and so it's just such a good like fit for both of us. And
it reminds me of the sayings, love comes easy. Like money comes easy, love comes easy. Like it's not forced,
yeah.
like it's just like, okay, yeah, yeah. You just kind of like going with the flow. You vibrate. What do you think, Bree?
So I was sitting here and I'm listening, and I love your story, and I love the love, right? I love all of, and I think one of the things that probably, and I would love for you to just kind of chime in on it, is one of the attributes is super I cherish more than anything is the aspect of iron sharpening iron. My man does not tell me all the good things about myself all the time. He challenges me, he makes me want to be better, and he expects me to be the best version of myself. And I think that most of the time women, when they're in relationships, they do not talk about that aspect, but I would not have it any other way. To be refined and to become the best. That's what I want for myself. So to have somebody that wants the same thing and that challenges that, but because of who they are, right? It's just because of who he is that we may rub. That's why I said we may bump heads, but it's ironing, sharpening iron. You know what I mean? Me wanting the best version of him and him wanting the best version of me. And I think that is an attribute that is second to none. Not only that, is he is my peace.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? He is my peace. Like I don't know what else to say, but like I know that today when everybody's looking at the social media platforms and all the gifts that they're giving, and later on today, hopefully if I have time, I want to record, because the integrity of my person is greater than any gift. The ironing, sharpening iron is greater than any gift. All that stuff dissipates, right? But me becoming the best version of myself remains. The flowers die, the chocolate gets eaten, the lingerie doesn't fit, maybe. You know what I
If
mean?
it doesn't fit, you need to talk to Maria.
Hey, who needs girls? You and me, we all know that when we get lingerie, it don't get worn for like 2 seconds. So,
But you know what I mean? People have their eyes set on what they think relationship looks like from a materialistic realm.
I'm
And
going next on this. I'm gonna piggyback on this after you're done. Go ahead.
okay, you know what I mean? From a materialistic realm. And for me, I look at it for longevity of my heart, like the longevity of my spirit, the longevity of me as a person. And at the end of the day, like, I don't care that you didn't show up with a car, because a car depreciates, but I always increase in value. And if you add to that,
Let me piggyback on that. I love what you said, that the flowers die and the chocolate gets eaten and the lingerie don't fit. A lot of times what I see on social media is that people put their value of a person or their love value on how many gifts they can get that person, how many vacations we can take together, how many nice dinners we can go on. Like, I don't want you to just love me on Valentine's Day. I don't want you to just bring me flowers on Valentine's Day. As a matter of fact, I don't give a fuck about the flowers. I want you to be the best version of yourself for me, because at the end of the day, we're both sacrificing for each other, but not only for myself, for you, because if this relationship doesn't work, I want you to know that I cared for you, right? And that you evolved into a great person and you learned something. And I think that the most painful thing that I had to see when I was growing up was seeing my father self-destruct, seeing my mother self-destruct, seeing my sister self-destruct, and then me becoming self-destructive, right? So when we place our values on how many flowers we can buy, how many chocolates we can buy, how many dinners we can take, to me, that is where, like, that is one of the things that I personally do not appreciate. Like, I had this gentleman, he would always like buy me things, and he was like, well, I bought you this, I bought you that. And I was like, I don't care. Like, I just want you to be a good human to other people. Like,
Well, and then
what
it
is so
comes
hard
back
about
to
that?
It comes
Yeah,
back to your love languages. Your love
yeah.
language is not gifts. And so
Yeah, it's not
people,
gifts. To me, it's like it's words of affirmation and it's acts of service. Like if you say you're gonna do something and you keep your word, to me that's like it's golden. Like, baby, I'm down. Obviously, there is things where, sometimes we have to be reminded, like, hey, you said this, but placing your value on things that are materialistic and saying, well, I took her out to dinner and she still didn't love me, or saying I bought her these flowers and the relationship still failed. It's not about the gifts. Women, sometimes what we want is action. Like, I want action. I want you to take care of yourself, not just for yourself, but for me. Because when we're taking care of each other, like, if you're gonna be the person that I'm gonna spend the rest of my life with, I need to protect you like an asset. I need to make sure that you're healthy. I need to make sure that you're drinking your water. I need to make sure that you're exercising. I need to make sure that you're sleeping, because all this leads to stress and then chronic illness. I need to take care of you when you get older. So we need to take care of each other, not physically, emotionally, but all around. And so sometimes as couples, we miss that. Well, let him go, to the bar and drink his ass off. But it's like, is this a person you're going to spend the rest of your life with? You don't want a drunk. First of all, you don't want him to have a felony. Okay, so you're looking out for one another. And I think that that's where a lot of the times in social media, when you're in a toxic relationship, and I'm like, that's not even cute. Like, keep it cute or keep it quiet. Okay, because teach
okay,
him, Lord, teach him.
that's so funny that you say that, because you know people are so easy to talk about alcohol, as most of my viewers and everyone knows I'm Jewish. Wine is something very sacred to us. We do not abuse it, and if you see a Jewish person abusing it, they're not practicing what they were taught, because
Mm.
it's a sacred thing. It's not something that we do to abuse it. And so, I think I always tell my boyfriend it's a spiritual experience when I drink my wine, because it's, first of all, it's a commandment. It literally says it in the Bible. But it's you're not supposed to consume enough where you get drunk. And I don't do it all the time. Like, I don't practice Judaism. I practice Christianity, but I always tell people, if you could describe me in 3 words, I'm your Latina Jesus Jew. Because I believe in Jesus. He's my savior, but I am Jewish, and of course, soy Latina. And to go back to what Brie was asking and saying about, iron sharpening iron, my book that's you can pre-order now, it's going to be called Transcending La Familia. I document my divorce story, and the line that I want to share with you guys right there is, when you are not with your iron, that person is just cutting you. They're not sharpening you. And so really, really focus on who that person is, because my ex-husband was cutting me. He was not sharpening me the last 4 years. So really, really just kind of look within yourself and, look to God and, choose to heal the broken pieces in you, so that you don't go into your next relationship already broken. And so I do wanted to, because, Brie wanted me to respond. So that's amazing that you mentioned that Bible verse, because I mentioned it in my book. And I definitely say that, not just your significant other can sharpen you, like this whole meeting, my friends sharpen me. There's so many things that, you are the 5 people you are around. If those 5 people are not sharpening you, you need to find new people, because if they're not helping you get to your next goal, get to your next, what you want in life, you're not going to, live a life of purpose. You're not going to live a life that you are going to be and live out the potential that God has and that you have for your life. And so I definitely wanted to say that. But any last words before, I stop recording and so that, because it's already almost 7. So, but for anybody that's listening, if you guys don't have if you guys have Facebook, we have a Arkansas Singles Facebook group. We have people that are outside of Arkansas, but You know, it's definitely something that our community there has grown so much. And so that's why we have been doing more episodes about relationships, because we see the biggest need for it. And so
You should have Bree on that group because Bree can drop some bombs.
hey, I can make you an admin. I've already heard enough to definitely approve you to be an admin. So
She is Latina certified. She's, you know, we're gonna baptize her with a name. She looks like what does she look like? I don't know.
Dominicana, se mira dominicana.
Yeah, she looks like a Monica to me. Like that's
Yeah,
Monica.
yeah, Mónica. Okay, pues Mónica, yo te mando un mensaje, okay?
We're baptizing you already.
The majority of the, you know, the Spanish speaking community, they're Catholic. You know, I was raised Christian, but I have friends that are my best friends that they're Catholics. And so to me, you know, religion is man-made, but I do practice Christianity. So it's so funny that, you know, you said that, because in the Jewish community, actually, if you guys didn't know this, when you get baptized, when you're Jewish, you rise by yourself. Nobody touches you.
Really?
Think about that. Because in their head, the sin, you know, the Bible says we're all born sinners and we're gonna all die sinners. So the sin in them is gonna infect you. And so you need to rise by yourself, because it's your choice to be a new person. And it's up to you, and it's your journey. And so of course it's a liability issue here in the United States, but you know, but you know, but yeah, in the Jewish community, like, nobody helps you get back up. You rise by yourself.
Nice.
Well,
Do you have anything to add?
You guys know, well, first of all, like, I can understand Spanish. I cannot seem to get it to come out of my mouth. So it is on a bucket list because I can understand it. So you'll see me like, yeah, you know, and then I'll answer in English, or, you know, but you have to talk really slow. And it is on my list. I'm speaking it into existence, but I will be able
Duolingo.
to speak Spanish. But yeah, I did
No,
all of my mission trips, like,
honestly, if you want to
everywhere. Like,
language, I would suggest watching a movie or whatever. If you watch movies, or if you watch
they always say that.
whatever,
Novellas. I've watched the novellas. I
okay,
have watched them.
but the key is, do you have the subtitles in English?
Oh no.
How are you going to understand what they're saying? So this is what I tell my students, and I'm pretty sure whoever's listening, I've already told you.
Well, actually, she teaches Spanish, Bree.
Yeah, so Learningidiom, we teach English and Spanish virtually. We create a lot of bilingual content for our people, and then we also do we host Clubhouse rooms and Zoom meetings.
We're Clubhouse junkies over here.
Oh yeah, yeah. Clubhouse is my favorite, and you know, the reason why I say that Clubhouse is my favorite is because since I'm a teacher, since I'm a publisher, since I read so much words, that's my favorite, because not only can I feel the person because of the voice, but I can also take a break from reading because I read all the time. And so I'm a realtor too. So as you can imagine, I have to be super, super, you know, focused on what I'm reading. And so Clubhouse is my favorite because of that aspect that, you know, I can disable those chats, because back in the day, they did not even exist. So I was like,
they did not exist.
I was like, man, Clubhouse, why you got to ruin this for me? so it's just extra work, but it's okay. It's all right, Clubhouse. We still love you. Shout out to the Clubhouse makers, because you know, that's how I teach for free, and I don't have to create an app to do that, because so our vision and our mission is to break language barriers and culture barriers by perfecting people's English and Spanish. It's a nonprofit organization, and so we love to have interns. Right now, I just got a new business intern. Oh, I love having interns because I get to share my wisdom with them and see their growth. And I've always had a teacher's heart, so it's like, you know, second nature to me to just share information.
We have 4 minutes left. So I have to jump on another call. If not, I would totally stay here. But I was gonna say, can we end this call with a prayer?
Yes. Who wants to pray?
Preacher's daughter.
I'll go ahead and pray.
The preacher's daughter, please.
Well, I don't know if Bree, you know, she's pretty faithful. Like, she's mentioned, you know, the Bible, that, so I didn't know, but I'll go ahead and pray us out. So thank you, Heavenly Father, for everything that you've done within us and within this hour. And I pray that everyone that's listening and everyone that will listen will go to you first for everything and put you first in their life. And I thank you because you connected me and Maria for a reason. And I thank you for growing our relationship and growing our partnership and growing every aspect that you want us to continue to be world changers for you. And so I pray a special blessing for anybody that's looking for their spouse, that's looking for something, that a relationship that you want. I pray for you to give them guidance and wisdom on how to maintain that, but also to really look within themselves to know that you know them better than anybody else, and you'll be able to lead them where they need to be. And so I pray for all of the marriages and all of the people who are struggling to stay together. And I pray that you give them vision, and you give them that special strength that it needs to stay married. And so I also pray for every single sponsor that makes this possible. And I thank you because I know that you have bigger and better plans for each one of us, and that your will be done as long as we are faithful to you. And I pray this in the name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen.